What's up, house groups? So Sunday was Palm Sunday, and Josh preached an amazing message about how we should use this season to prepare our hearts for Easter. And I actually think it provides us with a unique opportunity to do that, to tune in, not just to what God did 2,000 years ago, but what God is still in the business of doing in your life and mine today. But to fully understand that and get our hearts aligned, we got to understand the history of this whole thing people were doing when they waved palm branches and threw their coats on the road and cried out, Hosanna. Like 150 years before Jesus entered Jerusalem on that original Palm Sunday, there was a guy named Judas Maccabeus who led a revolution against the Seleucid dynasty, which was basically in control of Israel and oppressing their people. It's what the celebration of Hanukkah is all about, the Maccabees revolution. And Judas Maccabeus eventually defeated the Seleucids and took back over Israel for the Israelite people. And to celebrate the victory, a whole bunch of people cut down palm leaves and they waved them in the air like, we won, we won, we won. And then Judas, who was known as Judas the Hammer Maccabeus, actually stamped palm leaves on their coins, on their currency, to commemorate this great victory. And 150 years later, as Jesus entered Jerusalem, which was once again oppressed and under the control of a foreign power, Rome, people remembered. They thought back to what the palm leaves had meant for their people for a century and a half, and they again cut them and began waving them in anticipation of another great military victory. And they started shouting this word, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. And Hosanna is a word with kind of an interesting etymology. In the Old Testament, it was this word that in Hebrew was Hoshiat Na. It's kind of this compound word that meant, oh God, please save. Like, please God, save us. And it was almost this plea, this prayer, asking God to save. But over the years, it had become this cry of victory, almost expectantly, like God is going to save. It's like when you watch your running back, break an 80-yard touchdown run. For the first 5 yards, you're like, oh, come on, break it, make it to the second level. And then by the time he crosses the 50 and no one's near him, you're like, he's going to score. And that's what Hosanna had come to mean, like God is going to save. And so this fascinating moment where Jesus gets treated like he's some sort of conquering military hero, and people are crying out, God is going to save us. And I think that is a really significant thing for us to understand, because they totally missed it, right? Within 5 days, Jesus was arrested, and by the end of the week, he was dead. And here they thought that he was going to save them from Rome. But you and I do the same thing. At least if you're anything like me, it's really easy to get this picture of the future we want in our heads and to cry out, God, please save us. God, please make this happen. And to put a whole lot of parameters around exactly how God is going to save us, exactly what we expect it to look like. And we're like, God, look, here's the steps. I need A, and then B, and then C, and then D. And all these people, as they're throwing palm leaves and coats and waving them and crying out Hosanna, they know exactly what it's supposed to look like for Jesus to save them. It's just that's not how Jesus rolls at all. Like, the salvation he came to offer wasn't socioeconomic and it wasn't political. He came to save the entire world from death and sin and eternal separation from God. It's like this way deeper thing. And so many of them ended up super disappointed because he didn't save them in the way that they wanted to be saved, and they missed the beauty of the salvation that he did offer, this way bigger thing that was such good news. It included the ways they wanted to be saved. And I think there's this deep desire inside all of us for justice, and this deep desire inside all of us as human beings for flourishing. That's God created. But when we begin to put guidelines on how God's going to move, when we begin to pray and put God in a box of helping us in the way that we want to be helped and solving the problems we want solved, sometimes we miss the beauty of what he's actually doing in the world. And so my challenge to us as we prepare our hearts for Easter, as we remember just how beautiful Palm Sunday was, but how badly the crowds missed it, is to zoom out and not minimize what Jesus actually did to something smaller, but really realize the beauty of being saved completely from sin and death, and also realize the beauty of everything that brings with it, that it brings flourishing and it brings beauty and it brings justice. And let's live into that, and let's begin to pray and think differently when we're asking God for help. Not putting him in a box and putting a whole bunch of expectations on it, because if we do, we'll probably get it wrong and be disappointed. But really praying with open hands to whatever God might do, and praying expectantly. Not the old version of Hosanna where like, God, will you please? But expectantly, God, I know who you are and I know how you love. Save me, please, and do it in your way. And as we open ourselves up to that, what we'll find is a God who is still at work in our world today, bringing good news to broken people, and we get to be a part of that. So I challenge you this week to just prepare your heart by praying expectantly, by remembering how big it is and how good it is that Jesus didn't come to just save us politically or save us socioeconomically, but he came to save our souls for all of eternity. And I challenge you to take that good news and just invite somebody into it this week. Invite somebody to join you at church, because, man, we have what the world is desperate for, and that's awesome.